I have Don on the phone, and he's having a little connection issues. He's connected, as you can see, with his phone, but we can't hear him, or he can't speak for whatever reason. So he's on speaker and he can hear us. He wants to speak, Margaret, at the Famosa Canyon, because he actually got a fresh new update from the city about some of that. So he wants to speak at that point. So
okay, I have a question for you, Mandy. Do we have enough members of our committee to take action tonight?
yeah, it's just you, myself, and Dawn who are members of the committee. Perfect. So we have quorum. We've called the meeting to, we've opened up the meeting at 6:13. I want to, again, thank you all for coming and participating in this process. I want to go around and do just a very light introduction of the committee members really quick, and then we'll go over the meeting minutes. So I have, all right, so I have, all right, hold on one second. Don? Yeah. All right, you gotta mute yourself or limit. So I know that when you're talking, you need, you're wanting to give inputs. How does he do? If you look at, on his phone, there should be a mute option. If you look at, yes, and then when he wants to speak, he'll want to unmute himself. All right, we're gonna start. Okay, all right, and then do you want me to keep myself on mute, or does he want to keep hearing me through this phone call or through the Zoom? Whatever. Oh, okay. All right. Do you hear me better now, or I'm going to mute myself? You tell me which you prefer. Or how about now, John? Which one do you like? That's not going to work. All right. Go ahead and mute yourself. All right. It's not going to work because I merged the call. All right. I'm going to hang up and call you back. Sorry about that. All right, I'm going to put him back on speaker, and then we're going to go forward. I apologize again, this technology. All right, Don?
I can hear you.
All right, I'm going to put you on mute, and we're ready to go. I just need to clarify, do you want me to speak and keep this open, or do you want me to speak onto the Zoom? Okay, whichever works. All right, thank you, Don. All right, sorry about that. Here we go. So again, I just wanted to introduce myself. Everyone, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your participation. My name is Mandy, and I am a member of the Peninsula Community Planning Board, and I am also a mom, a local community mom. I got involved a few years ago with my children's school. I started out as the garden coordinator and started helping out in that capacity. And while I was there, I started noticing some of the traffic safety issues that were being witnessed in the vicinity of the school, which is Ocean Beach Elementary. And so as I started getting involved in the process, I realized I learned a lot of things about our city, and thus that's one of the reasons I got more involved. I wanted to use my voice and lift it up to find ways to improve our community and help it be safe for not just our children, but for the families and the people that live here in the neighborhoods. So again, I do appreciate you coming. I'd like to go ahead and ask Margaret to introduce herself, please.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Margaret Verismo, a longtime community advocate, activist to protect our community of Point Loma and the Peninsula, and sit on multiple boards throughout the community. Portuguese descent, born and raised in Point Loma. sit on multiple Portuguese clubs and boards, along with the Peninsula Community Planning Board, the Safe Mimosa Canyon Committee, and I have attended many, many, many park and rec meetings as well with the city, and sit on many, many, many meetings with the city, and also am the liaison for the Midway Development District. So yeah, so I really am an advocate for protecting our environment, our community, with adding more trees, preserving space, and keeping what we have left in our small community of park space. So I am here working alongside Mandy, Dawn, a couple other Tina's on here, and Cameron. We're just trying to protect this community from future overbuild and save what we have left in our community as far as trees and park space. So that's me in a nutshell, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for hosting this meeting, Mandy, and I look forward to meeting the rest of you soon.
Thank you. All right. John, if you wanted to go ahead and speak and give a light introduction, I have your speaker up to the microphone.
Okay. Hi, Don Severan's a little bit of technology problems. Just an hour or two ago, I was able to communicate with Bruce Martinez. He is the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation, one of 5, and we fall in his district. His domain is essentially small parks and 3 or 4 city council districts. I sent him, or will send him in the morning, a bunch of bullet points of interest to us, and perhaps we can have a more wholesome report at our next meeting. The city has changed its policy on grading park sites. It has been very little publicity on it, and it changes how park graded. It used to be that if a community had a desperate need for parks, that carried a lot of weight. Now it seems to be graded on size of the parcel, the number of recreation fields that can be put in, how many recreation programs they might have, do they have a permanent bathroom, are they relocated by a transportation hub, by a bike center, and so forth. And so he's going to get more information on that. This has effects on the pocket park that we've been working on for 6 years, and where we found the city $844,000. And we'll try to get more information on that. The city is kind of being incommunicado. The park was held out for 2 years. It has been approved unanimously at every point. The park has been completely design checking. It's ready to go to bid. And right now, of course, the city has desperate financial problems. And the third thing that I talked to him about was Mimosa Canyon. The last 5 acres of possible uncommitted open space in Point Loma. It's the subject of the Housing Commission that would like to develop it with unknown number of units. It is within his territory, and it is within the right or ability of the Point Loma Recreation Advisory Group to decide upon an opinion and advise the city if they so choose. And it's definitely within their territory. He's sending a map of, they're unaware of what the territory is. So that's basically what I know, and more to come later.
All right, thank you, John, for that. I'm gonna mute you again. Did anyone have any questions for Don before I mute him, actually? None? All right, thank you so much for that update. All right, so we've called the meeting to order. We've gone through the introductions. We have to go through and approve our meeting minutes. That's a committee member only. So John and Margaret, is there any inputs to the meeting minutes other than what I need to get from Byron Ware regarding the aquatic sports complex? Dawn, do you have any inputs to the meeting minutes or?
The meeting minutes are correct as written.
Correct as written. The only thing I need is the aquatic, you know, when Byron presented, he said that they had a website. Do you have that website information? I reached out to him and I didn't get an email response back. That looks like the only information I needed.
I do not, I'm sorry.
All right, so.
That I'm returning phone calls, that's all I know.
All right, well, without that, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes. Margaret, Don, you approve, I approve, and so does Margaret. So we'll move on from that, and I'll again get that information from Byron regarding that website for the aquatic center. All right, I'm gonna mute you again. All right, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your patience. We have went ahead and approved the meeting minutes from the last meeting that was hosted back in January. I'd like to go ahead and open it up for any non-agenda public comment and limit that to a maximum of 3 minutes per person, if that is. Does anyone have any non-agenda public comment? All right. Oh, that's easy. No one's got anything to say. Awesome. All right. So going forward, we're going to discuss the action items, and this is regarding the letter of support for the Sunset Cliffs Natural Park Council. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to put up their letter and kind of show everyone some of the pictures that we have of some of the things that they're experiencing there. I'll also cover the letter that I have up for a vote to present to the main board at the end of this month at the main board meeting. And then after that, we can kind of open it up for discussion and then board member discussion, and then we'll do a vote. So just to give you a highlight of how that will work. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen at this point. One moment. I'll pull it up really quick. All right, so I'm on the screen share. All right, okay. If everyone wants to go ahead and take a minute, I'm gonna post this letter here and read it out loud. Or actually, everyone just take a few minutes and read it as I go through and slowly scroll. Let me know if I need to slow down.
Are you going to go with that one? Yeah, you want that? I guess I mean, any something.
Sorry. All right. So this is the letter that was approved by the Sunset Cliffs Natural Park Council. And I do want to state again for full disclosure, I am a voting member of the Sunset Cliffs Natural Park Council. And so I just want to disclose that just for transparency purposes. Has everyone completed the letter? If so, I'd like to show a few pictures of some of the infractions that are being experienced at the park. So I'm going to go ahead and forward on to that. If we need to follow up, please speak up and I can move back up to the letter. Here we have a party where they're like basically set up within the cave here. And this is down in Garbage Beach. Here's a nighttime party. Again, it looks, there's been a lot of occurrences of parties after the park has closed in the evening. There's been witness of raves and various parties, people not picking up their trash, excessive alcohol use, a lot of crime and traffic has been experienced in the surrounding neighborhoods as well. This is a side view, but it looks like this is someone who's camping out in the park in these bushes over here, overnight camping. And they have an actual campfire going. A lot of graffiti, as you can see. Sorry, the pictures are sideways, but you have a lot of tagging going on in the park. There's a tree here in the park that people like to use and climb up and use it for swinging. They put hammocks there as well. Lots of after-hour use. Here you can see they've actually marked, this is on actual Sunset Cliffs. You can see that they've marked it up. Here's on the steps as well. Lots of graffiti. And at the last meeting on Monday that we had, it was told to us that the graffiti that you're seeing, a lot of this has been cleaned up already. And then what the areas, especially the benches, are being tagged on a very consistent basis, even after the city comes in and cleans it up. So here's graffiti on the cliff here in the caverns. And so these are some of the issues that we have. And again, another picture of graffiti, it's upside down. So being that we've had all these issues, we basically, on the parks, I created a letter of support for us to present to the main board. And basically it mirrors the bullet points that were listed in the Sunset Cliffs Natural Park Council. And again, this is a letter to our mayor as well as to our council member. It will also go to Colin Stowell, who is our Fire and Rescue Department fire chief for San Diego, Chris Weber, James Gartland. You can see all of the contacts here, as well as Jean Berger, who is the Sunset Cliffs Natural Park Council chair currently. So I'm going to go ahead and just have everyone take a moment to review this letter. And I'll leave it up here for a few more moments after everyone reads, and then we'll open it up for discussion. All right, let's go ahead and open it for discussion. I wanted to ask anyone who wanted to give some input or has any questions regarding this action item to speak up during this moment.
I have one comment.
Oh, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Oh,
So I'm looking that it's being recommended that the time starts 2 hours after sunset.
That's correct.
What about like 10 o'clock?
Well, the park is like a flat rate. Oh, so to have a set time rather than 2 hours and have that up for discussion. Delana, can you speak on that? I know that we've had many conversations about the difference between the 1 hour and the 2 hour before and after sunset. Can you kind of educate the group as to why they
Sure,
decided on that?
sure. First, let me introduce myself. My name's Delana Purcell. I'm a lifelong resident of Ocean Beach, Sunset Cliffs area. My family moved out to the Cliffs in 1961, and I graduated Point Loma High in 1971. And I've been on this committee, on the Sunset Cliffs Committee, since 2000. The reason that we did 2 hours after sunset as opposed to a flat time is during the winter, sunset is at 4:45. So if you have sunset at 4:45 or even 5 o'clock, from 5 until 10 is 5 hours. We figured it was better, and it mirrors a lot of other parks to give a time limit. We figure that 2 hours is truly enough time that when the sun sets, you have the colorful glow lasts anywhere from 0 minutes to half hour to an hour, really. And then it gives time for people to go ahead and say, okay, it's dark, let's leave. So, and during the summertime, sunset is around 8-ish. So sometimes it's pretty all the way till 9. So that was the reason for the time, as opposed to a flat, what time is it? And I can also tell you, really, this would be something that's enforced on a calls for service. Nobody expects the police department to come down and go on loudspeakers at any time to move people along from the park. It's when the residents who live here are experiencing a lot of noise at any of the park outs or along the street, that at least it gives a tool. The officers can come out, contact the people and say, okay, it's time, you need to move along.
Yeah, Delana brings up some really, is it Delana or Delana?
It's actually Delana, like a banana.
Delana, okay, I got it. All right, Delana. Another issue that has come up as well is the nighttime, the darkness tends to encourage people who are not being law-abiding to have the cover of darkness to do
Correct.
things that are illegal in the park. And so by limiting that, that would again give the local park rangers and the police a tool to enforce these types of groups that are gathering after hours or in the darkness in the park with camping or parties or whatever, you know, graffiti. There's quite a bit of vandalism going on in the park as well. So that was the thought for that. You know, it would give enough time for them to enjoy the sunset, you know, and even the afterglow. But again, once it's dark, most people who are not visiting parks in the darkness, and there's not a lot of light, and it gives a lot of cover for people who are there not following the rules, unfortunately. So.
Correct. And really, again, it's mostly the after hours darkness problems are probably more in the hillside section of the park, and then also at the pocket beaches. And again, it's just flat out dangerous. We all hear and know of rescues at the beginning of the summer. One time within a 1.5 to 2 hour period, there were 3 separate rescues along the cliffs, and they were right around the dusk time. So it's just that people come out, they start drinking, then they fall off the cliffs, then their friends maybe try to rescue them. It's just truly a problem, and it's other people's safety as well as the safety of the emergency services, the first responders.
I think that's, you know, having that time frame is a good idea. Is that also including parking along the Sunset Cliffs? Or is
The
that?
way the one part is written, it does say on the west side of Sunset Cliffs Boulevard. We wrote it so not to affect the resident areas. Most people that are gonna come and come for nefarious reasons, for lack of a better term, do wanna park in the parkouts. They don't wanna park right in front of the houses. So it's essentially the west side of Sunset Cliffs Boulevard.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other inputs or questions? I'd like to open it up for the board.
I have one, Mandy.
Oh,
I
go ahead.
have one, Mandy.
Oh, full disclosure, Delana, this is my husband, Cameron, so.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I'm Mandy's husband. I'm also on some of the subcommittees on the PCPB, and I'm also a resident of Park Point Loma. In addition to supporting Mandy on this, I'm also doing childcare duties. So I have to make this quick. I think it's really important. Sunset Cliffs National Park has become a tax liability for the city of San Diego. With all the stuff going on, and accidents going on, it's setting the city up for a large liability that we, the taxpayers, are going to have to bear the brunt of. And so I really see this as an attempt by the local residents to get ahead of this, especially in the time of COVID. This park has been known as an unregulated park. And so a lot of people have coming down here because there's specifically been a lack of enforcement, and there's been a lack of park rangers or police officers patrolling this area. And people have come here to specifically party or do drugs or whatever it is they're doing. Regardless, at night, it's very dangerous because of the topography of the park and what's going on. And it's really setting the city up to be liable for an accident here sometime in the future if something is not done. And I really applaud Sunset Cliffs National Park Council for taking the lead on this and for going out and trying to get consensus amongst the other planning boards in the area and trying to get a united voice to the city council and the police department and the fire department who owns the lifeguards that this is an area that needs to be looked at, and we need to step up our enforcement in this area. I'm really dismayed at the lack of enforcement here, and having been the person to go out and find people in search and rescue missions before, it puts their lives at risk in addition to the people who were being dumb in the first place. So this is near and dear to my own heart, and I really think it's important that that the PCPB take a stand in solidarity with Sunset Cliffs National Park and try to move something forward. Thank you for your time. Have a great night.
All right, thank you. All right, well, without going further, I'd like to make a motion to approve the letter of support for the Sunset Cliffs Natural Park Council as is.
I'll second that.
All right, and then Dawn, if you can unmute yourself or put in the chat yes or no, or call me back and voice that so I can have your vote. I'm just gonna call him.
Yeah, just for the record, so we don't cheat. What's going on with him?
Oh, with Dawn?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just having
a little while ago.
Yeah, he dropped off the call.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to get your vote, Dawn. I'm gonna put you on speaker so I can get it on the recording that I have your vote.
Fine, but I read the motion that I'm voting on.
Oh, sure, I can read it to you. I made the motion, and the motion is to approve the letter of support for the Sunset Cliffs Natural Park Council as is.
And everyone understands that the committee action has to go to the full board.
That's correct. I just want to clarify and educate everyone again that while we approved this letter here at the subcommittee level, it still requires approval from the main board at the main board meeting that is held, it'll be held on Thursday, October 15th at 6 p.m. So that's when the final vote will be for this proposed letter. So do I have a yes from you, Dawn?
You have it, yes.
All right, so the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for your time. At this point, I'd like to move into the informational items, and I'd like to have Cameron, he's a part of the Formosa Canyon Ad Hoc Subcommittee for the Peninsula Community Planning Board, as well as Margaret. She's a member as well. She's the chair of that the ad hoc committee. And so we wanted to provide the community with an update for the Site 428 Formosa Canyon. All right,
Mandy,
go ahead.
I think Don wanted to start that off.
Oh, Don,
actually.
did you want to talk at this point?
No, I'll listen if I can.
All right, let me know. I'm going to mute you, but let me know when if you want to speak up, okay?
I'll try.
All right, thank you. Go ahead. He's fine.
All right, so hi, my name is Cameron Havlick. I was part of the subcommittee for the Formosa Canyon Ad Hoc Committee. For people that don't know, Site 428 Formosa Canyon is a approximate 5-acre lot on the corner of Nimitz and Formosa Boulevard. The topography has a wetland, freshwater wetland nestled into it, approximately 1 acre of wetland in it. It's also the site of a pump track for the local kids to play on. And the community's been using the site as an open space park for over 40 years. Currently, the housing department, who's owned at least 3 acres, if not the whole site, since 1982, has slated this area to be developed into a affordable housing site. The mandate is to provide at least 78 units, but the way they wrote the RFP, that's a request for proposal, they could put up to 300 units. We saw when we got the original proposal, or the original feasibility study, it highlighted the fact that not only was there a freshwater wetland down there, there was also trees, the eucalyptus trees, which are habitat for the endangered species of the monarch butterfly, and it was home to a variety of birds and other wildlife in the area. The concern is that if we lose this 5-acre open space, our community is going to lose a very valuable freshwater wetland, potentially the eucalyptus trees, which provide habitat for endangered species. And we're just going to lose a community asset that we've had for over 40 years, where people can actually go and enjoy being in the open space. Unfortunately, the vast majority of our parks, if not all of them in our community, are being rented out by the City of San Diego Parks and Recreation, and they are basically going to the highest bidder. So if you want to go to the park to have a picnic, you're competing with soccer, you're competing with baseball, you're competing with lacrosse, you're competing with softball, and just about any other sport. The YMCA has leased out the entire Bill Cleaner Park, which means that they have exclusive rights to it, and we, the community, do not have those rights. So Robb Field is pretty much exclusively rented out by Albion Soccer and softball leagues and Little League leagues, and other parks throughout the area are being used for Little League and other nonprofits that are generating profit for not only themselves, but the city also. And it has robbed our community of actual open space park space. And so we're really adamant that this should be looked at and should be preserved as a natural park. Currently, the status is they first did a request for proposal for development in November of 2019. After 60 days, they did not get a proposal, so they shifted it to the right 30 days, to right before Christmas. Again, they did not get a proposal. Then they shifted it out to March, and again, they did not get a proposal. And so they decided to extend this all the way through November. What's troubling about this is, one, they may or may not have a interested developer, but what's very, very troubling is the mayor at the same time is advocating for something called complete communities. Complete communities, and I recommend you go to the city's website, is a way to densify the peninsula and bypass current roof to area floor ratios and allow an incredible amount of densification on the peninsula. So basically, any development within 1 mile of a bus stop or a transit priority area, which is also known as a bus stop, you can bus through, depending on where you live, and go from a RAF of 0.7 currently to 4 or 8. So that home that you have next to you that gets sold could be torn down and be replaced with a 16-unit condo section, depending on how large the unit is. if complete communities is passed through in conjunction with this, our 300 unit, the 300 units that could go there could easily be doubled. And instead of abiding by the 30-foot rule, they can actually exceed the 30-foot rule there because for whatever reason, that lot in 1978 got excluded from the Coastal Commission. So everything around that lot has been brought into the Coastal Commission, but that one lot has been exempted. And it's not 100% sure with complete communities that we'd be able to enforce the 30-foot rule on there. So it's very adamant and very important for the community to continue to show up, and we keep an eye on this. We are currently waiting to find out if a proposal or a developer was found to develop the site, but based on my research, I believe that a developer is waiting to see if complete communities is approved by the mayor and the city council this fall to determine whether or not they would put forth a proposal. So, and oh, by the way, only 10% of any development would actually be for affordable housing. That's the other misnomer that the Housing Authority likes to throw out. The vast majority of the units, i.e. 90% of them, would be at market rate and would be out of the price range for most people living in our community right now. So right now we're kind of at a wait and see point in this development, but we will continue to let the public know as we find out more information. Margaret, Don, if you have anything to add.
Don, you would like to add some? All right, hold on one moment.
I think we haven't.
All right. All right, Don, are you ready?
I'm ready for whatever.
Did you want to speak?
I'm not really hearing anything when you put me on mute. You basically put it up there.
I apologize. Cameron, he just gave a high level update on the entire Formosa Canyon, as well as a high level update about how complete communities ties into that and into the community parks. Did you want to add on to that?
Could reinforce that Bruce Martinez, one of 5 deputy directors, stepped up below Andy Fields, asked for bullet points, questions, and some of the questions I sent him have to do with the Formosa Canyon. And he will try to get information or answers. As most of us know, this land was given to the city for park purposes more than 110 years ago. So records have been lost. Obviously, nobody living has got memories of this. But we'll see. He's generally offered to try and get information, and we'll see what he can get.
That's great news, Don. I really hope that he can provide us with some of the answers the community has been looking for. Go ahead, Margaret.
I'd like to challenge this committee to come up with some sort of take action plan again, because it is a new year, new committee, again, to protect this last piece of park space in our community. There are lots of changes, I mentioned before, with the reorganizational charts on the city's park side. There's new people in power, new decision makers. And again, I want to work alongside the Long Range Planning Committee for the Peninsula Community Planning Board to make sure that this park space gets rezoned and dedicated to the last piece of park space in our community. Again, I can't preach this enough. We have to take action and protect this before a proposal comes through and then it's too late. It's, you know, I don't know what it is that we can do, but I think we need to have further discussions with this committee and also the Long Range Planning Committee to see what we can do. But again, elections are in November. We'll have new mayor, we'll have hopefully new city leaders. They're not going to do much for us. It's a matter of us kind of just suggesting what we want done, which I'm hoping is to rezone this to the last piece of park space in our community. I have been attending many other Zoom meetings for Mission Hills, North Park, PB was another one. They're all doing the same thing. Everyone is losing their last pieces of park space in their communities. And I actually had another PCPB board member recently tell me she attended the community, the CPC, which is the 52 Planning Board representative meeting. And this was a hot topic issue at their last meeting, was to preserve the last piece of open park spaces from development in their own communities. So we really need to get those meeting minute notes there see what other communities are doing, and really fight to protect this last piece of park space.
If I can add to Marcus,
Sure, go ahead, Don.
yeah, there is something I think the community will do. Someone from the Formosa Canyon Committee told me that they're going to turn out November 12th at the Recreation Advisory Group meeting. It will be a Zoom meeting, and they're going to have an action item on that agenda asking that that group take a position on a open space type park that the community heavily supports. There were perhaps 8 meetings of the planning board, 6 of them at the committee level. And just about any meeting you went to, it was just overwhelming support for Formosa Canyon and open space. So there'll be more information on that at November 12th and seeking a turnout on a Zoom meeting.
So just in case you all heard, the RAG, the Recreational Advisory Group for the City of San Diego, is actually going to have this as an action item for a possible opportunity of support for Formosa Canyon to be left alone and kept as is, and see if they can offer some support to the position that the Peninsula Community Planning Board has made with their response to the city regarding Site 428 in Formosa Canyon. Yes, Delana?
I'm not a member of your committee or the larger one, but am I allowed to speak?
Yes, you are, please.
Okay. First of all, I'm very much in support of what you guys are doing, 100%. Like I said, I've lived out here since the 50s. I remember when that area was Navy housing area, actually. One of the things in the 50s and 60s, my dad was on a lot of the committees, and notoriously, or whatever a word should be, historically, the Point Loma, Ocean Beach area has less actual parkland and less community parkland than any other community in the city of San Diego. And I think that needs to be continued to be pointed out when you go. Everybody thinks that because we have the beach, which is regional park, Robb Field, regional park, Dusty Roads Park, regional park. Everybody thinks because we have those areas that we have community. We are about the only city or community of the city that does not have what are designated community parks. And as was pointed out earlier, this stuff with COVID and when the Sunset Cliffs Park got invaded, one of the first things the mayor did was open community parks. Ocean Beach, Point Loma people have nowhere to go because we don't have community parks. So I hope that that also can be added to your argument. But my concern is the fact that that's where the kids and others do the bicycle stuff, is having a bicycle course that I've seen and support, but is that consistent with calling it a natural park? I don't know. I'm just pointing out if that's inconsistent, maybe that also needs to be addressed. Again, I support you guys 100%.
I think, Delana, the pump track is there. It's been, it was a homegrown type. It was built by local families, community members. We've got a lot of young children in the neighborhood who utilize the park. I'm going to have Margaret and Cameron talk about this because she's the chair of the Formosa Canyon. So go ahead and give it a response to that.
And Cameron's my co-chair.
Oh yeah,
I am.
We're in this together, Cameron and myself,
Yes,
and
we
Amber
are.
on the committee, and Tina. But I was just going to point out real quick in our fight, Delana. I'm sorry, was it Delana?
Delana.
I really appreciate that, and that has been one of our biggest struggles in our fight, is not mentioning the pump track, because it is a huge liability. We don't to the city, and it just wouldn't go through the approval process. So we keep that kind of just away from our fight. We really want it to be just a community walkthrough park, like the one that's being built on the end of Avenida de Portugal, just a simple walk-through park that belongs to the community for any sort of extracurricular activity. It could be yoga, it could be walking through, and just having the community beautify it ourselves with, planting our own trees with some of the tree planting initiatives that go hand in hand with, within our community guidelines, planting, succulents that don't require, water maintenance, and working with our local clubs and organizations, such as the Mean Green Team through the PLA that would be more than happy to kind of help us keep it maintained, but just pretty much keeping it as raw as it gets, just our local community park that we can enjoy with less traffic congestion and, density in that area. It's been there for well over 100 years. We'd like to see it there again for another 100 years that our future kids and future generations can enjoy. That's the fight. And it was interesting because some of the points you mentioned too, that I learned recently in my conversations in these midway meetings, because they're saying that there's going to be some park space there, and overall the community is like not buying it. That Famosa is truly our last piece of non-recreational, rented park space that we have in our community. So I appreciate your comments. Cameron?
Yeah, and I would just add to that, really at the end of the day, the fight for us has been to stop this development, get it rezoned, and then let the community decide best how to go forth on this. And I agree with the liability issues on the pump track and everything else, but the space is large enough, the community is diverse enough, for the community to really figure out how we want to use this precious piece of last remaining undeveloped space in our community, and how to best use that for the entire community. And you're highlighting a lot of the things that we felt in this fight, and it's been very frustrating because it's fallen on deaf ears. And there are so many people who are willing to do so much work in there, and we just keep getting shut out of the process. And that's the most frustrating part, is it's not transparent, it's not open to the public, and they really just ice this out. And then they tell us, oh, well, we'll sell it to you at market rate. And then when you do come up with a plan to buy it for market rate and have a legitimate plan, they just turn you down and say you're going to sell it to a contractor because they want to see it develop. They don't want to see it being used as a community. And so, I've been able to, get hypothetically financing set up for it, and they won't even talk to me because I'm not a developer. And that's absolutely wrong. The parks, they won't sell it to the parks and get the parks people involved because they're not going to develop it. And that's why we as a community need to fight this, and they need to know that we, the community, we get a voice in this. And I'm sorry, but the city of San Diego has forgotten that they work for us, we don't work for them. And I really think, what's happening in Sunset Cliffs, what's happening at Famosa Canyon, what's happening at Midway, and happening throughout the city is an extreme example of the city forgetting who they work for. And they work for we the people. And they are just continuously telling us what's good for us without taking any feedback and saying, you know what, maybe we need to moderate this. Maybe we need to change our plan a little bit. Maybe we need to listen to the community and give them what they need. Instead, they just keep telling us, build, baby, build, baby, build. And it's really sad. Especially, I haven't lived here for 50 years, and I can only imagine all the changes you've seen over your tenure living here. And I can only imagine, the changes you've seen. So I appreciate your thoughts in particular, and I really appreciate your thoughts in supporting us on the community park aspect of it. And thank you. It was a breath of fresh air we needed.
Can I add one more thing? I'm a cyclist, and I cycle the coast. Up in the area just south of Cardiff, north of Solana Beach, is a plot of land that, if you're going northbound on the Coast Highway, you come through Solana Beach past where the train station is, and then the hill drops down, and the view is spectacular of the ocean. And because you're looking over this really awesome piece of land. And probably about 10 years ago, word was that they were going to sell it to a developer, probably put up condos or I don't know what. But the community got together again and bought it. It's now called Harbaugh Park. I do believe the Harbaugh name you recognize donated the majority of money, or the lion's share of money, to finally buy it from the from whomever, I don't know. but you might try to get, I have no idea, but get it, since you guys seem to be good at researching things, get a hold of whoever spearheaded taking that back and making a park out of it. Because now I think
That's
it's
a
called
great idea.
Harbaugh Seaside Trails or something of that nature. But if you're going north on the Coast Highway, go through Del Mar, Solana Beach, and sort of you can't miss it because they have big signs up and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation, Delana. I'll definitely add that to our research list and kind of get some more information and see if they can give us some ideas about the process and the, you know, the obstacles that they encountered as they went on that journey of buying that park. That's a great recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is a great recommendation.
John, can you start our GoFundMe? Thank you.
Did you hear? Oh, Don, they said, do you want to start the GoFundMe so we can start building funds to buy our park back? He laughed. Yeah, he's on board.
The reason why I'm saying that is because he's collecting funds for the Voltaire Bridge right now.
Yeah, he's still working on that for sure. So I want to open up if there's any more inputs regarding Formosa Canyon update. If not, I'd like to move on to the next informational item. All right, well, the next one, and this will be the final item before we adjourn the meeting, is just an opportunity for proposed improvements to existing parks within the Peninsula community boundary. I'm also on the traffic subcommittee, and Margaret has a list that she had been working on within that committee of like all the recommendations that people had for the community. So I wanted to take that idea and bring it here to the parks and kind of build on a list of maybe, I call it our list of demands, but some people call it a wish list. So I'd like to just open it up. Again, this is not a for sure thing, but kind of speak on some ideas that we can add to a list. And I'll be sure to email that and post it to our subcommittee page to have maintained. And we can start adding possible ideas that we would like to see come to fruition in our parks as improvements. So I guess I'll go first. So I think we have a really awesome, we do have some great parks within our community. We do live in a very privileged community, and for the most part, I think they are great, but I do see some opportunities. One of the concerns I have is with the park right across the street is Cleator Park. The playground equipment is dangerous. There's a concrete structure that kind of is hollowed out. My son has actually fallen from that and busted his ear. I find it very dangerous. It's constantly getting tagged up, and there's graffiti as well on that playground equipment, but a lot of it is older, and I think there could be some opportunities for improvement. So that would be my first suggestion. And then for all of our parks, I'd like to see additional like sails that provide shade around and on our playground areas, seeing if there's an opportunity there to provide more shade so people can enjoy that without having to worry about being burnt, you know, with the sunburn, or being able to enjoy the outdoors without having to use sunscreen possibly. You know, it could be a chemical-free option for a shade barrier of some sort throughout all the parks within our boundary. So those would be my two recommendations. And then my third is the wish list, seeing if there's an opportunity for like a splash pad or a splash park at Liberty Station. We have a lot of young families here, and that's a beautiful view of the city. It would maybe be an opportunity to have an outdoor area for kids to run through these splash pads. Again, an opportunity to provide a great cooling, you know, activity for our community parks. So those would be my 3 main suggestions at this point. What, Angela, you had your hand raised?
Oh, I was just going to say that when I had my kids, the Cleator Park, we tried to contact Parks and Rec and the city and everything to switch out that equipment. It's been there for 20 something years and it hasn't changed.
Yeah,
So
I
definitely needs to be improved.
I agree. Any other opportunities that you can see in our community parks? Another one that I haven't voiced and is something that I'd like to ask the city as well is they recently have a new tree planting initiative called the Kate Sessions Commitment. And our board has actually provided a letter of support for that initiative within our community. And we have several board members looking to see if there's opportunities for additional trees in the neighborhood. So that's an area of another opportunity, seeing if we can add newer trees to our parks or densify the amount of trees that we have in the existing parks to help meet our climate action plan goals and just, you know, help with the environment and provide cleaner air for our community.
Famosa would be a great place for that.
I would agree. I would agree. I definitely see some opportunities with Famosa. Should we be successful with allowing it to be uninhabitable environment, you know, seeing that it be left as a natural type park, you know, with opportunities to beautify it with trees or native plants or succulents. These are all great ideas. So I'd like to open it up again for any voiced inputs that you would like to see in our parks. But if not, we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting. I just want to let you know that the next meeting will be held on December 3rd at 6 p.m. And again, it will be on Zoom. Oh, I see little Guinness. We have an honorary participant in our meeting.
And the reason why I showed Guinness is because Guinness loves parks.
He does. He's our #1 fan. Well, I just want to again thank everyone for participating. It's 7:10. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for attending tonight's
Thank you,
park
Mandy,
meeting.
for the meeting.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.